Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping right into one of history's most complicated and honestly most personal questions. It's a debate that has literally shaped nations, it's built massive institutions, and it's tested the hearts of billions of people. So, what does Christianity really say about money? I mean, for 2,000 years, the answer has seemed all over the place, pulling believers in completely opposite directions. Is having wealth a sign of God's favor, or is it a dangerous temptation that can lead your soul astray? On one side, you have what's called the prosperity gospel. The idea here is that God wants you to be rich, that financial blessing is a direct sign of your faith. But then, on the complete other side, you've got a kind of poverty gospel, which calls for renouncing worldly goods altogether, seeing any wealth as a huge spiritual danger. But here's the thing. According to Pastor Costi Hinn, both of these extremes, they miss the whole point. He argues the real conversation isn't about God wanting you to be rich or poor. Instead, money is a kind of universal test of the human heart. And to understand that test, we have to start with one single foundational principle. Okay, so let's dive into this. That principle is stewardship. It's built on a pretty simple belief. Since God created everything, God owns everything. That means our role isn't ownership at all, it's management. We're just managers who've been entrusted with certain resources. This one idea, it completely reframes the entire conversation. The question shifts from what's mine and how can I get more to, okay, how do I best manage what I've been given? It is a profound change in perspective. So if we use stewardship as our starting point, Christian thought on wealth branches out into three distinct views. And this gives us a really simple but powerful way to understand all those seemingly contradictory ideas. Now, what's really interesting here is that this gives us a clear spectrum. At one end, you have wealth as an outright offense to faith. In the middle, it's an obstacle you have to navigate really carefully. And then at the other end, it's seen as a potential outcome of a faithful life. All right, so let's first dig into that oldest and maybe most challenging view, this idea of wealth as a profound spiritual danger. And this is probably one of the most famous and, let's be real, unsettling things Jesus ever said about money. This quote portrays riches not as some minor inconvenience, but as a massive, almost insurmountable barrier to spiritual life. And the New Testament is just filled with these warnings. The message is pretty consistent. Wealth has this powerful, malicious pull. It's like it creates a tug of war for our attention, promising a security that, in this view, you can only truly find in God. But this is only half the story. So let's move on and see how this idea of wealth being a danger evolves into a completely different and just as influential perspective. Wealth as a tool. This view really got popular during the Protestant Reformation, and it sees wealth not as some trap you have to avoid, but as a potential outcome of a faithful, disciplined, hardworking life. And more importantly, it sees that outcome as a powerful tool. And this, right here, illustrates the concept perfectly. John Wesley, the founder of Methodism, he boiled it down to this famous three-step maxim. It's not a ban on wealth, it's a command to be productive, be smart with your money, and then be radically generous. So the whole point here is that wealth, in this view, is not for materialism. It's not for building a bigger house or your own personal empire. No, it's a resource to be deployed for a higher purpose, for ministry, for charity, for building God's kingdom on earth. So why does this debate, this tension between wealth as a danger and wealth as a tool, matter so much today? Well, let's connect these big theological ideas to the stark economic reality of the world we're all living in. Look at this. The wealthiest 20% of the world's population consumes a staggering 86% of the world's goods. When you see a global disparity that massive, it gives these ancient questions a really urgent modern weight. How you view your resources? Well, it has global consequences. So how do we resolve all this? How do we hold the idea of wealth as a danger and wealth as a tool in the same hand? Well, the synthesis isn't really about choosing a side. It's about holding both truths at once. Acknowledging that wealth has the potential to corrupt while also embracing its potential for incredible good. It means that having resources, whether you have a little or a lot, comes with this profound duty to navigate that tension wisely. And this quote from Costi Hinn just puts a fine point on it. The final takeaway is that wealth isn't a sin to be avoided at all costs, nor is it a prize to be sought after. It is a test of character, a measure of our priorities, and a responsibility to be stewarded well. And that leaves us all with a pretty provocative question. And it's not just for Christians, it's for anyone thinking about their own resources, their purpose, and their impact on the world. It's the ultimate stewardship question.